On Cubs live edition, emergency episode, bonus episode, whatever you want to call it, as the Cubs trade Scott Effross to the Yankees for pitching prospect Hayden. We got to get his name right, Sam. Hayden Wesneski. Okay, I even put it in the pronunciation guide there. This is a 100% shock of a trade. Out of all the deals that I've expected between now and 5 p.m. Central tomorrow, Contreras, Happ, Givens, Robertson, maybe throw in a Smiley, Scott Effross is signed through 2027. He's not even arbitration eligible. Also, he is simply one of the best relief pitchers in the entire sport this year. He's 27 years old. He throws from a great arm angle. He's 28, actually. 2.66 ERA, 2.19 FIP, 44 innings. He's pitched in a variety of roles. It's a complete shock.
Can I talk
this
about
is how these 2 days are going to play out. I don't even know what to expect.
First of all, I just want to say when I read this news or got the text, I was driving. I felt physically sick. So let me tell you why I'm so surprised, and then I'll try and see it from Jed's perspective a little bit. Also, just hearing this news about Hader, I'm all twisted up.
All over the place.
I can't believe that. The Brewers front office are geniuses. I don't like this move. I think they see that Hader's cooked. I'm a little nervous about that. What if they just completely rebuilt? So I'm a little nervous about everything right now. But as far as Scott Effross goes, here's why I'm so surprised. First of all, Matt, if I knew that Scott Effross was available, he would have been number 1 on my trade value rankings, not number 2, not number 3, because of all the reasons you mentioned. His 5 years of controllability, his numbers this year are actually deceiving in a good way. His 2.66 ERA does not tell the story of how brilliant he's been. He has a 2.19 FIP. He's a controllable reliever that could possibly be a closer for years to come.
I thought he was going to be.
I think he has much more value than Contreras because of that, and I'd put him right there with Happ in terms of his value. So I'm really surprised, and I try not to overreact to these trades because, like we always talk about on the show in baseball, time will tell these deals. It could take years. It seems like, and here's where I'll go over to Jed's perspective. It seems like Jed Hoyer, Carter Hawkins, and Craig Breslow in order. That's obviously president of baseball operations, GM, and the guy in charge of pitching, Craig Breslow. It seems like they have this formula now, and they really like the returns that they're getting on this formula. And it feels like in their heads, they feel like they could create a bunch of Scott Effrosses, because here's a guy that was a position player, converted pitcher. They may go sidearm, and he's had a lot of success. And maybe they feel like they are just selling as high as they possibly can. So that's the case. And the guy that they got back, this Hayden Wesneski guy, another guy that fits their current profile of mid-90s fastball with a sweeping slider. It seems like they're trying to just build this pitching factory and to just keep churning out guys. I'm just really surprised. It's Scott Effross, and I'm surprised they honestly, and I know it's the Yankees' number 7 prospect. I saw in some rankings it's their number 4. So for Scott Effross, that's honestly probably a pretty. If we said that 3 months ago that we were going to get that at the deadline for Scott Effross, I think we'd all take it. I just think we're all a little bit surprised. Are we okay? I'm not seeing any more comments come. Are we good with we're still live and everything's connected?
Yeah, almost over 40 people with us right now.
Okay,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, just because my comments froze. That's the only reason I asked. So I am surprised. I think this one's going to take a while to marinate for me. I just really liked Scott Effross personally, Matt.
Yes, yeah, you have for a long time, and I've grown to really like him too as a fan.
Yeah, and I felt like before the year he had a chance to break out, and so he did. Again, I try and see these things from both ways. I think from the Cubs' perspective, it's like, hey, it's just, to me, it's like, are you really selling high? I actually think he could pitch better than this. He's had some bad luck. I think Scott Effross has given up 2 hard hit balls the whole year to Pavin Smith and Victor Caratini.
Right, right.
And
my thing is,
sorry, go ahead.
Who's
sorry? I just don't feel well.
No, that's okay. My thing is just like who's going to pitch at the back end.
Yeah, and I don't think that they really care about that.
They don't
right now.
They don't.
But here now let me say one thing. Jed Hoyer has proven, and so did Epstein, that they can build a bullpen from scratch every year. That's pretty respectable.
Mm-hmm.
So again, my guess is that they probably were just like, okay, we feel like we could replace the Scott Effross, but we're really in love with this prospect. And the one thing I will say that's good about this prospect is he's going to be here next year. It's not like a project.
Yeah, he's in AAA.
It's a 2023 guy. And by the way, Joe Musgrove just signed an extension, so he's now off the table. So maybe they're really trying to build this rotation for next year. They feel really good about how they can build a bullpen. I don't know. Again, in a vacuum, when you just look at this return for Scott Effross, it's like, okay, we're talking about a 6th, 7th inning reliever here that we just got a top 5 organizational prospect for. It's pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just a little bit surprised. No, I'm very much surprised.
Of course, it's a shock.
Yeah, it's just and again, I can't emphasize this enough. If I were like, if everybody was on the table, Horner would be the guy that has the most value. Probably Suzuki would be in there, Morel, and then Effross.
100%.
I mean, he is one of the most valuable guys because of that control. Now, again, and the one thing I will say is, the Josh Hader trade is the best example that we could use, and it's great timing. Bullpen arms are the most volatile thing in baseball.
True.
You just never know when they're going to crack. I mean, Josh Hader had a 3-4 year stretch where he might have been the most dominant reliever of this generation. And you look up since, I think I just saw it in the last month or two, his ERA's over 8. Boom, the Brewers flip him as quick as they can. So, obviously, if they feel like this Hayden Wesneski kid is a sustainable arm, you make that trade all day, because who knows where Scott Effross could be. Maybe some of these ground balls are going to find holes next year. You look up, he has a 4.54 ERA, and you couldn't even get a lottery ticket for him. It's one of those things. I think it makes sense. Mm-hmm. I just am very surprised by it. I have had a lot happen already. It's Monday at 12:36 Central Standard. I'm nauseated. I haven't eaten much, and I haven't
eaten yet today at all.
This is just a lot for me. And then this Hader news and the Musgrove news, and we haven't even gotten a Happ yet. We haven't even gotten a Contreras yet. And by the way, what does this do to the value of Givens and Robertson? Because Effross is much more valuable than those guys.
Right, and you don't expect a number 7 prospect from another team as a return for a reliever. You just don't. So Givens and Robertson still can be good returns. This is certainly an upper level return. I was stuck on the volume of players initially when I heard the news. How do you only get one player back for one player? But Wesneski, reached AAA last year, was first full year in pro ball. He's throwing well in AAA this year. I would almost venture to say you could see him in September, but certainly in spring of 23. We'll see on the returns for the other guys, but the trade wins are blowing strong right now.
And it's obvious that the Cubs have this organizational philosophy with the sweeping slider. I mean, every single guy that
that's
take
the pitch that's in right now
features this pitch. I just hope the league doesn't overcorrect itself, and then the Cubs are stuck with all these guys, and the league figures out. I don't know. The deal makes sense to me. I'm just very surprised. There's like 2 guys on the team I really enjoy watching every day, and this is one of them.
Yeah, and Scott says tons of arms at Iowa to replace Effross. Cam Sanders came back yesterday. We've seen the new pitcher recently, Ullman, and
he. You know what? That kid looked pretty good.
Yeah, and so
I gonna miss Effross.
Yeah. Again, I can see
Scott
all that.
Effross.
Right, we just like
this
him.
guy can pitch, and he competes. He's one of Scott Effross is one of those guys. You
but
just
the
watch
Cubs
him.
have a lot of pitchers like that right now.
I just like Effross.
I know you do. He was one of your players to watch back in
Before
March.
the year, him and Hermosillo. Is Hermosillo still on the planet?
I
Does
think
he still
so.
exist? What happened
Yeah.
to him?
Yeah. I was looking for some other comments here.
There's a lot to be excited about with the
Yeah.
Cubs system. It's just, I just didn't see this. I just didn't see
Everybody's
this
too
coming.
stunned to speak.
And it's 12:38 on a Monday. I really wanted to ease into the week a little bit.
I know, and I
need some anti-anxiety meds.
As the morning rolled on, I thought it was going to be a slow rollout, and now we're just humming fast.
Can somebody send me Tums?
I think that's going to do it for a live bonus edition of Locked On Cubs. Stay
We might
with
be
us.
back in 2 hours.
I'm going to try to go for a walk. I'm going to throw the bucket hat on. If somebody gets traded, I will turn around on my route and come back. So Scott Effross to the Yankees. Thanks for joining us here on Locked On Cubs, Sam. Anything else?
I'm sorry. No, there's nothing else. Go for a walk. I'm going to try and have a banana.
I'm going to try my best. Okay. We're going to be here. Please subscribe to Locked On Cubs. We're close to 1,000. And after any of these bigger trades, really after any trade at this point, we're going to try to go live and then we'll put it up as an audio episode afterwards. Over 60 people here right now. Really appreciate you joining us. And we'll be back when the next trade is made here on Locked